What is up, World of Tanks? Rubicon 1.0 is finally here. I'm in the Object 257. As you can see, it's got a little bit of problem rendering into the game. I'm pretty sure they will sort this out before the final release. But in the meantime, sometimes we're going to be facing issues like this, loading into the game when it's already started, or loading into the game with your tank not yet completely rendered. Anyway, the 257 is no longer broken. This is of course the new edition in the 9.22 patch. Let's put it this way, this is a tier 9 defender. If you don't have a defender, this is what a defender is in tier 8. Now it is not entirely OP. It still is it still is interesting to play. It's I think it's in a balanced position. I personally think it is not too OP and not too weak. I think it is in a good place right now, and I like it where it is. I think it's hard to pick between a T10 and a 257 at the moment. They're both pretty good for their class. Right, let's move on to the next map, which is going to be Secret Line, and here we are loaded into the game after it has started. Well, 1 second or two after it has started. My tank is not completely rendered. It looks kind of funny actually. I wouldn't mind playing like one of those special event games and have the tank look like that. It looks kind of funny, something like that. Those 8-bit tanks. Remember those games? Anyway, we are in Malinovka. Is that right? And we're at the windmill. And we are holding this position in the 430. This is of course the old tier 10, which has now been demoted or downvoted to tier 9. It is not OP and it's not weak. I think it's also kind of like in a nice position right now. I am not against it at all. Wow, this windmill looks good, doesn't it? This corner is one of the corners, one of the places that I don't like fighting, simply because it's really it really depends on how you work with your team and how your team works with you. A lot of times you come up here on your own and you basically melt very quickly. But on this occasion, I guess I can see my team pulling up behind me and giving support, which makes this endeavor inherently a lot easier. You saw those shell traces there. That's really cool. I like those shell traces. And in a minute, you're gonna see me go forward and snipe into the 257 that I was playing earlier. Now during the game, I didn't have the border lines on, so I didn't know that I was actually running into the wall here. But here I am shooting at the 257. As you can see, I'm using the heat shells to go through the lower plate. Oh, that border. You have to turn it on when you get into the game because it is not on by default. Here we are in Ensk. Now Ensk, they've moved the buildings around a little bit, so to shut down some angles like the one we're heading to right now. The angle, it still looks like the same place, but they've shut down this angle a little bit. It's not so easy to snipe through this building and through that spot here anymore, and I guess that's a good thing. It prevents the early, when the early shot off you get from this position here off to the other side. This map looks a lot better now. I feel like the maps are where it is, where it should have been a long time ago. I mean, this update has been a long time coming. I feel like we should have reached this point some time ago. And right now it feels like it doesn't feel too overwhelming because it is a map that we are familiar with. Everything is still more or less 90% still at where you expect them to be, and that's what I like about it. There is a familiarity with it, although it's completely new and different in a sense, but it's still there's a statue of Lenin right in the square. Cool, I like that. This is a position I like playing, especially in strongholds. You can get into this position and shoot down that lane. The explosions are great. The physics, even breaking that bus, you saw that bus break up into pieces. Whereas in the past, when you ran over a vehicle or a bus like that, it would just flatten. I like the way it breaks into pieces now. Even the walls and stuff. It's really cool. And this is in Erlenberg, and the reason why I'm showing off this part is because of, look at that, the tracks sink into the snow, and that is a mechanic or the visual that I like to see. It looks really nice. I'm really impressed by this visual. I like that the tracks have sunken into the snow. It really looks cool. This is what's impressive, the most impressive thing to me so far. And here I might have found a bug. I'm driving around, blowing up stuff and seeing what they look like. That's a cool explosion. I like the way the plane broke up there. Let's take a look at that. Cool. Nice animation there. I'm gonna shoot at that plane from a distance and have a look at the, wow, check out that shell going up. I like that look. We'll do that again. I seem to have missed it, and hey, I've missed it again, or what's going on here? I thought I had eagle eye aim there. There I go, shot it again, but the plane is still there. So what I'm gonna do now, the reason why I'm pointing this out is sometimes you make blind shots, and when you see the explosions at the back when it hits the ground, you make the assumption that you have missed your target and you're not hitting anything, as opposed to if you hit something, there's no splash. And actually I've hit it when I drove forward. As you can see, the plane then renders and it shows the destruction. So that might be a bug, or I don't know, it might be something, I don't know what. And here we are in Ford's on the west spawn. It looks the same, it looks different, but same, you know what I mean? And the first thing I want to check out is my favorite spot, which is the center of the map in the water. When I'm coming from the east side, I like coming in here, getting down into the water and then climbing up and getting a hull down position and shooting those guys. But I noticed something's different here. It's no longer the same spot, although the hull down still exists, but there's a pathway that leads to the east. So I no longer need to go into the water to get into this position. That's strange. So they've made this place a little bit more balanced, I guess. In the previous maps, I guess the advantage would have been onto the guys on the east spawn. Once you get into the water, you are basically unstoppable there. Anyone that tries to get into the water will get smashed by the support coming from the east side. It's a really strong position to be in if you were spawning from the east side. And now with the difference with what they've done to the center of the map, it's gonna be interesting how it plays out and how it will affect the play in the future. I don't know if it's going to be advantageous to the west or the east side. We will see in the future. There's also a path that takes you to an elevated position where there is a kind of like a radio tower or a cell tower. Maybe it's one of Verizon's cell towers, I'm not sure. But I'm not sure if this position is going to be advantageous to the east or west side. I suppose the guys from the west could easily snipe you if you were not careful with this position. But anyway, what are your thoughts? I'm gonna kill myself here right now trying to get down. Anyway, in a nutshell, that's 1.0 for you. I'm looking forward to making some other videos soon. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.